The first time she looked at him, she looked right through him. Daniel Harper noticed it immediately, the quick glance, the polite half-smile, and then the subtle shift of her body away from him as if he carried something inconvenient. Maybe he did. 2 small hands clung to his jeans. "Daddy, can we get the blue cereal?" 6-year-old Lily whispered, her pigtails slightly crooked because he still hadn't mastered symmetry. "And the dinosaur one," added 4-year-old Noah, who believed dinosaurs were a food group. Daniel knelt down in the grocery aisle, scanning price tags instead of brand names. His shoulders were broad but tired, his beard neatly trimmed but flecked with exhaustion. At 38, he had lines around his eyes that hadn't been there 2 years ago, lines carved by hospital corridors, unpaid bills, and nights when both kids cried for their mother at the same time. Across the aisle stood Emily Carter. She was elegant in the effortless way some people are, cream coat, sleek dark hair, phone in hand. She'd seen him before, every Thursday at 6 p.m. Like clockwork, the single dad with the noisy kids and the discount coupons. She had labeled him without meaning to. Probably messy, probably complicated, definitely not her type. Emily's world was structured, controlled. She worked as a marketing executive, thrived on clean spreadsheets and predictable outcomes. Relationships, to her, were strategic investments. Daniel looked like risk, and she didn't do risk. Daniel pretended not to notice her disinterest. He had grown used to it. Ever since Rachel passed away from a sudden aneurysm 18 months ago, the world had subtly changed its posture toward him. People didn't quite know where to place a widowed father. Some offered pity, some avoided eye contact, some assumed he was overwhelmed and irresponsible. The truth was, he was overwhelmed. But he was trying. Every morning began before sunrise. He packed lunches, sometimes uneven sandwiches but always with little notes inside. He braided Lily's hair after watching tutorials at 1 a.m. He learned how to remove crayon from walls and how to soothe nightmares without breaking down himself. And every night, after the kids were asleep, he sat alone on the couch where Rachel used to rest her head against his shoulder. Grief didn't knock politely, it barged in during quiet moments. Emily saw none of that. What she saw was chaos. The next Thursday, she saw him again. This time Noah knocked over a stack of cereal boxes while spinning dramatically like a T-Rex attack. Emily winced. Daniel immediately crouched down, gathering boxes with an apologetic smile. "I'm so sorry, buddy, we don't attack cereal." Noah's lip trembled. "But dinosaurs clean up their mess," Daniel said gently, handing him a box. Emily expected frustration, anger, embarrassment. Instead, she saw patience. Still, she walked past. Her own life felt heavy in different ways. At 35, she had recently ended a long-term relationship. Not because it lacked stability, but because it lacked warmth. She told herself she wanted ambition, drive, someone put together. Someone uncomplicated. A week later, a storm hit the city unexpectedly. Rain poured like sheets of glass. The grocery store's power flickered. People rushed out to their cars. Emily struggled with her umbrella, her heel slipping against the wet pavement. That's when she saw it. Daniel was kneeling in the rain, holding his jacket over Lily and Noah like a human roof. He guided them carefully to his old sedan, buckling them in first before even thinking about himself. He was drenched within seconds, his shirt clinging to him, hair flattened by rain, but he smiled at them like none of it mattered. "Did we survive the storm?" he asked dramatically as he shut the car door. "We're heroes," Lily shouted. Emily stood frozen. No one had ever looked at her like that, like she was their entire world. Something shifted. The following Thursday, she didn't look away. Instead, she offered a small smile. "Your kids seem energetic." Daniel chuckled softly. "That's one word for it. I see you here every week." "Thursday discount day," he admitted. Single dad budgeting skills. There was no self-pity in his voice. Just honesty. They spoke for a few minutes, about cereal brands, about how hard it was to find matching socks for children who refused to wear them. It was light, simple, but Emily felt something unfamiliar. Humility. The next time they met, Lily approached her first. "Hi, you have pretty hair." Emily blinked in surprise. "Thank you. My mommy had pretty hair too," Lily said matter-of-factly. The air changed. Daniel stiffened slightly. "Lily, it's okay," Emily said softly. And for the first time, she really saw him. Not the chaos, not the inconvenience, the grief. She noticed the faint wedding ring line still visible on his finger. The way he instinctively checked both kids even while speaking. The exhaustion he carried with dignity. Over the next few weeks, conversations grew longer. Emily learned about Rachel, the laughter, the love, the sudden loss. She learned how Daniel once worked long hours in construction but switched to a flexible project management role just to be home more. She learned he hadn't gone on a single date since the funeral. "I don't know how to fit someone into this," he admitted one evening as they stood outside the store. "My life isn't exactly easy." Emily surprised herself. Maybe it's not supposed to be easy. Maybe it's supposed to be real. Still, challenges weren't poetic, they were practical. Daniel struggled financially after medical bills drained their savings. The car broke down 1 month. Lily developed anxiety at school, afraid Daniel might disappear too. Noah began acting out, craving attention he didn't know how to ask for. Emily watched him juggle it all. She offered small help at first, bringing over homemade lasagna, by accident, recommending a child therapist her company partnered with, tutoring Lily in reading on Saturday afternoons. Daniel resisted initially. Pride is a stubborn thing. "I don't want you to feel obligated," he said. "I don't," she replied. "I want to." The real test came when Noah had a severe asthma attack one night. Daniel called 911, panic clawing at his throat. He tried to stay calm for Lily, who stood shaking in the hallway. Emily arrived at the hospital without being asked. She sat with Lily, telling her stories while Daniel rode in the ambulance. She stayed until 3 a.m., holding Daniel's hand in the sterile waiting room as doctors stabilized Noah. In that harsh fluorescent light, soaked in fear and exhaustion, Emily realized something undeniable. Love wasn't about convenience, it was about showing up. Weeks later, Daniel invited her to Lily's school recital. Emily hesitated. This was no longer grocery store small talk. This was stepping into their world. But she went. Lily scanned the crowd nervously before going on stage. When she spotted Emily beside her father, her shoulders relaxed. After the performance, Lily ran straight into Emily's arms. That was the moment everything changed. Emily knelt down and whispered, "You were amazing." Daniel watched, his chest tight. Later that evening, under the soft glow of porch lights, he spoke quietly. "I thought you ignored me because I came with baggage." Emily smiled sadly. "I did. I was afraid of complicated. And now I see something I didn't before." "What's that?" "A man who didn't fall apart when life gave him every reason to. A father who became both parents. A family that isn't broken, just healing." Daniel swallowed hard. "It's messy." "Good," she said. "Real love usually is." Their relationship wasn't instant perfection. Blending lives rarely is. There were awkward dinners, tears when Lily worried Emily would replace her mom, moments when Daniel doubted whether he deserved happiness again. But they faced each challenge together. Emily didn't try to erase Rachel's memory. She honored it. They kept photos on the walls. They spoke her name openly. Love expanded instead of replacing. Slowly, the house that once echoed with grief began to echo with laughter again. One evening, months later, Daniel stood in the kitchen watching Emily help Noah assemble a dinosaur puzzle while Lily braided Emily's hair, much better than Daniel ever could. He realized something profound. She hadn't fallen in love with him despite his children. She had fallen in love because of them. And Emily understood something too. She had once measured men by stability, status, simplicity. But the strongest man she'd ever met was the one kneeling in the rain, shielding his children from a storm. Sometimes we overlook greatness because it arrives wrapped in responsibility. Sometimes we mistake devotion for inconvenience. But love isn't found in perfection. It's found in presence. And the day she finally saw his children, she finally saw him.